Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people complied to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoy the content. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called Time Zones. About 20 years ago, my small company merged with another small company from another state. The other office closed and the employees were relocated to our office. Our office is on the east coast of the US. The other office was in a time zone 1 hour behind ours. One of the new co-workers had to leave about 30 minutes before 5 to meet a vendor fixing something in their new house. About 5 minutes before 5, one of the other company's customers called us and I answered the phone. She wanted to talk to the new co-worker. I told her that co-worker was not in the office and offered to take a message. This led to a long argument. The customer was from the west coast of the US, which is 3 hours behind us. The customer started by demanding to know why the co-worker was not there when it was not even 2 PM. I explained the time difference. Then she demanded my co-worker's personal number so she could call her at home. I explained that I was not going to give out personal information about a co-worker I had just recently met. The customer then assured me that the co-worker had given out her former home number, no cell phone, and that the co-worker would be very upset if the customer was unable to reach her at her new home. I didn't engage with that argument because it was stupid. Finally, the customer accepted that she was not going to talk to the co-worker and asked if someone else could help. The answer was no, because it was well after 5 PM and everyone else had left. And I was not yet trained on the new product. This brought us right back to the fact that closing at 2 PM was ridiculous. I explained again that it is 5 PM where I was. We simply do not have enough employees to be covering every time zone on the planet. We have customers all over the world. We don't open 5 hours early for European customers. We don't stay open 8 hours late for Australian customers. And we don't stay open 3 hours late for Californian customers. We use East Coast hours because those work best for our handful of employees and their families. Customers are generally understanding, and nothing we do is that time sensitive that it cannot wait until the next day. I finally said that the only choices were to try again tomorrow, or I can take a message and give it to the coworker. The customer finally agreed to give me a message, but she insisted that the coworker call her first thing. I assured her that I would tell the coworker exactly that. So when the coworker came in the next day at 9 AM, she complied and immediately called the customer back. It was 6 AM, her time. Woke her up. The next story is called Safety Critical. My job is in the railway as an engineer for anything with a current or that moves. A lot of this equipment is safety critical and can derail a train at worst or cause delays, which to management is just as bad. On a quarterly basis, we go around the whole railway network and check the equipment and ensure it's within safe standards. When we aren't out on site, we are on standby. My department is in the center of all railway departments and a couple of other transportation departments, so we regularly get a lot of people dropping by the office with queries or requests. It usually has to do with what work is being carried out at the moment, as we have many projects at once that can mess with other work, or to show that equipment is faulty when it's just being worked on. As they can drop by, not many have our numbers, except the on-call managers. We are on a night shift during bad weather, which can cause more faults on the tracks, and usually we will get more queries from other departments wondering if this is us or a genuine fault. We are chilling in the office, cups of coffee, writing reports, and of course on our phones and having our laugh when in walks the manager on call for the night, Didi. Didi was from another department, but still got manager on call as it is rotation and they cover multiple departments just for nights. He comes in and isn't happy but leaves, and comes back 20 minutes later with the same annoyed look on his face. He asks us if we have nothing productive to do in a tone that sounds like we just asked a stupid question. Very condescending. We try to explain why we are not out doing work, but he cuts us off and tells us to find somewhere to go and something to do. He doesn't want to see us sitting about in the office, so we do just that. We go out to a remote part of the track, find an equipment room, and we go in and resume our relaxation as there's no one else there. It's only accessible by walking up the track, which you can't do unless you go through a whole ordeal. It only took 25 minutes of rest. or roughly 1 hour since we left the office, for Didi to call. Panicked. Apparently, the other departments were getting fault calls and they weren't sure if it was our department or actual faults. Now, we have plenty of contractors out on other projects and we have software to check if it's been booked out for work or if it's actually down. We calmly explained that we were now out in an equipment room doing work and we would have to call when we were done, as you can't interrupt safety critical work. This all resulted in him getting 113 calls, according to one of Didi's mates who he complained to, from other departments trying to get a hold of us. He has access to the same software as us, but obviously had no idea how to use it. The aftermath was that Didi looked incompetent to the higher ups and made sure to leave us alone in the future. He did try to have the rules changed so that he had more power over us and could interrupt us whenever, but that got shut down quickly as, again, safety critical. The last story is called Not My Stamp on It. Many years ago, I worked in an aerospace machinery company where I was the only female that wasn't in an office/administrative position. My job was doing quality control. The discrimination had started before I got hired, but that's another story. It did affect how I was treated, which is why I mention it for this story. As a parts inspector, I would verify that a part was made to specifications and then put my stamp on it, showing it had been inspected and what the results were. One day, I was trained to measure the diameter of a type of shaft that is used in airplane engines. The roundness of the shaft's diameter had to be measured within a couple of millionths of an inch. Just to give you an idea, the typical hair on your head is a few thousandths of an inch. So if you divided your hair into 1,000 slices, if there was even one bump on the shaft that was bigger than 2 of those slices, it could potentially wreck everything by creating too much vibration during operation. My boss explained how he wanted me to perform the inspections using a very sensitive machine that operates sort of like the needles you see for detecting earthquakes. I did a couple of days worth of inspections before I realized that the way he instructed me to check them looked wrong to me. I asked another, more experienced inspector about it, and he figured it out fully and said we were inspecting it wrong. If you picture a mountain valley with a canyon, and you were supposed to give the maximum depth, you'd go from the lowest part of the canyon to the highest point of the highest peak. The instructions he gave me were essentially reading from the ground to the peak instead. So I went to my boss to tell him, and he basically said I didn't know what I was talking about, and ordered me to continue to do it as he had told me to. Now, I could lose my job and career over bad inspections. So I told him, okay, I will do what you tell me, but I will not put my stamp on it. I'll do the charts and someone else will have to do the interpretations and stamp them. He agreed. A few months later, I get called into his office so I could be written up. A multi-million-dollar contract was almost lost because the inspections on all these shafts were bad. I told him that my inspection stamps were not on those orders because he had told me I was wrong, and so I'd only made the charts for someone else to interpret. He backpedaled quickly after that, claiming he had sent out parts for independent verification, and the independent verification had said he was right, that I was mistaken. Blah blah blah. Nobody lost their job, but I think it was only because his father-in-law was one of the owners. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.